This is Romania, the sixth most populous country in the EU, located in southeastern Europe, bordered by the Black Sea, 2 EU countries, Hungary and Bulgaria, and 3 non-EU countries, Serbia, Ukraine, and Moldova. Romania serves as an east-west bridge, often facilitating trade from countries like Turkey, Georgia, or Armenia. Its strategic location on the Black Sea, particularly the key port of Constanta, the largest port on the Black Sea in the EU, enables trade flows that bolster the economy, contributing to an annual GDP of over 285 billion euros. This is the first video in a series where we break the Union into 27 pieces and dissect each of the member states one by one. And today we will look at Romania and its place within the EU, by explaining Romania's history, economy and politics, Romania's representation in the EU, and Romania's relationship with the EU. Since the conclusion of the Second World War, Romania's fate was deeply entwined with the Soviet Union's sphere of influence. Under the brutal rule of communism, Romania experienced some of its worst repression right after the communists' rise to power in 1948. Although this brutality somewhat eased under Nicolae Ceausescu's leadership from 1965 to 1989, human rights violations and economic hardships persisted. In 1971, Ceausescu visited North Korea, which inspired him to model Romania's economy after North Korea's. This amplified tensions in Romania, especially during the 1980s, where Romania suffered significant poverty as Ceausescu attempted to industrialize and pay off foreign debts. As the 1980s drew to a close, only Russia was more oppressive than Romania in the Soviet bloc countries, and Romania was reaching a tipping point. In mid-December 1989, Romanians rose in revolution, driven by a thirst for freedom and democracy. The uprising resulted in the execution of Nicolae Ceausescu and his wife on Christmas Day, marking the end of 42 years of communist rule in Romania. With the Iron Curtain lifted, Romania began a challenging journey of democratic reform and integration with the West. A pivotal step in this process was the signing of the Snagov Declaration, a consensus to make Romania's accession to the European Union a national strategy. It was signed in June 1995 by the entire Romanian political elite, regardless of party affiliation. In 2004, Romania achieved a significant milestone by joining the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, bolstering its security ties with Western partners. And 3 years later, on January 1, 2007, Romania's goal of European integration materialized when it became a member of the European Union. Romania has long been one of Europe's poorest countries, but it has quietly closed in on its peers to become the EU's 16th largest economy, recently overtaking Czechia. However, it is important to note that Czechia has a much smaller population compared to Romania. The EU has played a big role in this growth, as Romania gained access to the single market, received EU funding, and received lots of private investment through Western companies. Since becoming an EU member, Romania has witnessed a substantial surge in trade with the EU. Intra-EU trade constitutes a significant 74% of Romania's exports, with the lion's share directed to Germany, Italy, and France. Similarly, regarding imports, a substantial 74% originates from fellow EU member states, primarily Germany, Italy, and Hungary. In terms of EU funding, Romania has secured significant funds through the EU's cohesion policy. Between 2014 and 2020, Romania received a total allocation of 22.4 billion euros, and for the period of 2021 to 2027, the allocation increased to 31.5 billion euros. For the current period, you can see some of the sectors where this money is going on the screen. And bear in mind that this sum excludes additional EU grants designated for agricultural and maritime purposes. This obviously sounds great, but where does the money really go? Let's take a look at some examples, such as improving water quality in various parts of Romania, adding a new subway line connecting the city and the airport, building a new bridge over the Danube in eastern Romania, upgrading the infrastructure at Constanta Port, the largest EU port on the Black Sea, and the list goes on. However, it is worth noting that Romania struggled to effectively utilize EU funds, with only 61% of the last EU budget being absorbed. The country has until the end of the year to use it, otherwise this will result in a significant loss. And then there's private investment from Western companies, which has gone up significantly since Romania became a candidate to join the EU in 1999. Nowadays, many Western companies are working in Romania, with a few examples on the screen. All these three factors have greatly contributed to Romania's growth, but despite the strikes taken, Romania continues to grapple with persistent challenges, including economic disparity, emigration, and an aging population. Regrettably, Romania also has one of the highest percentages of early school leavers in the EU, leading to a sizable unskilled labor force. The major concern, however, remains corruption. While the situation has improved since Romania's accession to the EU, there are still many recent cases of politicians being accused of bribery. In terms of politics, Romania is a semi-presidential republic, where the president is the head of state, responsible for diplomacy, appointments, and representing the nation, while the prime minister, as head of the government, oversees policy implementation, legislative initiatives, and domestic affairs. The parliament has two chambers, the Senate and the Chamber of Deputies. Its Chamber of Deputies consists of the Social Democratic Party, the National Liberal Party, the Save Romania Union, the Alliance for the Union of Romanians, the Democratic Alliance for Hungarians, and national minorities. The current governing coalition comprises of the PSD and PNL. PSD is a center-left party, though some would argue that its left-wing principles are only there in name. Under one of the former presidents, the PSD was Eurosceptic, but this has since changed. PNL is a center-right party that adheres to conservative Christian values and is pro-EU. Thus, Romania's current leadership can primarily be characterized as Big Tent, leaning center-right. As for the other parties, AUR is a right-wing nationalist party holding anti-Hungarian, anti-LGBT, and anti-EU stances, and is accused of being pro-Russia. UDMR is a conservative-leaning party that advocates for Hungarian rights, and USR is a progressive party that focuses on anti-corruption measures. With that being said, how is Romania represented on an EU level? Romania's 19 million strong population is represented in the European Parliament by 33 MEPs, who represent their interests on the international level. Among the 27 EU countries, Romania ranks 6th in terms of MEPs, with Germany, the most populous, having 96 MEPs, and Malta, the smallest, having only 6 MEPs. So to which EU parties are Romania's 33 MEPs allocated? Firstly, the Social Democratic Party, Pro-Romania, and PUSL have 10 representatives in the EU's S&D party. Secondly, the National Liberal Party, UDMR, and PMP have 14 representatives in the EU's EPP party. Thirdly, the parties USR and REPER have 7 representatives in the EU's Renew party. Fourthly, there's 1 representative from the Christian Democratic National Peasants Party in the EU's ECR party. And lastly, 1 independent representative is part of the EU's Green Party. So Romania has the most representation in the EPP, S&D, and Renew. And if you want to know what these parties stand for, you can pause the video here. Or better even, watch the video linked above, which also explains the EU Parliament. The Romanian right-wing nationalist AUR party has recently gained a lot of traction though, and come the European elections next year, Romania may be sending more representatives to the right-wing conservative EU party, ECR. But it doesn't stop there. Romania's representation extends to the European Commission, the EU's executive level. Adina Valon, a member of the PNL party, serves as the Commissioner for Transport, responsible for shaping transportation policies and ensuring smooth mobility across Europe. Don't underestimate Romania's influential voice in Brussels. Adina Valon, as part of the Commission, recently allocated 6.2 billion euros to 107 transport infrastructure projects across Europe, mainly focusing on rail to enhance the completion of the Trans-European Network for Transport. These include the Brenner-based tunnel linking Italy and Austria, Rail Baltica connecting the 3 Baltic states and Poland with the rest of Europe, as well as their cross-border connections between Ukraine, Moldova, and their EU neighbors, Romania, Hungary, Slovakia, and Poland. So what is Romania's relationship with the EU like? Overall, Romanians seem mostly content with EU membership, with 49% viewing it positively, 31% being neutral, and only 19% seeing it negatively. Moreover, Romania actively supports EU expansion and has expressed its desire for Moldova to join the Union during accession talks in June 2023. There are issues, however. Romanians sometimes feel like they're treated as second-class citizens in the EU, with Western nations seemingly keeping them locked out for uncharitable reasons. One significant divide between Romania and the EU comes from Romania's accession to the free movement Schengen area. Despite meeting all the criteria for admission, other EU member states have used their veto powers to deny them entry. The most recent denial came in December 2022, when Austria voiced concerns about immigration.
It is not a question countries against countries, it's a question of security. We have in Austria more than 75,000 not registered persons, and we know that 20,000 irregular migrants crossed Romania. Why do we know that? Because of Austrian police investigations. So now we have to find a solution for this problem.
There's even a running joke in Romania, suggesting that no matter if Austria votes in favor of Romania joining next time, the Netherlands will oppose them again. Nevertheless, the European Parliament is pushing for another vote by the end of the year, so let's see if this theory holds true. Romania is also not yet part of the Eurozone, meaning that the leu remains the national currency. The timeline for Romania to join both zones remains uncertain. But what do you think of Romania's place in the EU? We'd love to hear from our Romanian viewers, so please leave a comment letting us know your thoughts about your country and your membership in the Union. And a big thank you to all our Romanian viewers that volunteered to contribute to the video, especially those mentioned on the screen. And to all our viewers, please let us know if you like this new format and would like to see your country featured. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you enjoy the content. And if you want to support the channel further, please sign up to Patreon.